Hello, everybody. It is me, Blake. Welcome back. So, today I'm going to be doing an interview with. He is former NWA, ASW, and much more. He is also BCTV wrestler. He is. His nicknames are Fuzzy and Gentleman. He is Jonathan Sayers. So, we will wait until he gets on in here, and then when he gets on in here, we will start and get him on in here. So, and I might be snuffy a lot. It's because I'm just getting over a cold a little bit. So, but hello. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just waiting for Jonathan Sayers to get on in here so we can start the interview. Okay, I see that you're in here, Jonathan. So, I just sent you a request that should be on your side. So I sent you a request to join, Jonathan, and that should be on. You should get the request on your side. Possibly it should pop up on your screen, or it should be on one of the buttons on the bottom. And you will press like accept or something like that. Okay, so I just sent you an invite, John. So that should appear on your screen somewhere. Either on like one of the bottom buttons down there, or it should just appear on your main screen. And you will press like okay. Um so it should be something like with one of the buttons down there on your screen. It should have like something where it shows like a notification type thing, and you can press that, and it says this person, it would say Blake Dufour wants to add you to the live, and you would press accept or something like that. I'm guessing that's where the request would be, is down on one of the buttons on there. Oh, there you are. You're
Yeah.
in here.
Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah, your screen is really blurry.
Yeah, I know. The screen's getting blurry. Screen is blurry. Can't seem to unblur the screen.
When you do flip it over, though, it's not blurry.
When I flip it over like so?
Yeah, when you flip it over like that, it's not blurry.
Okay, so that's what you want to see if him. Yeah, there it is, dear.
Can you see me?
You should be able to.
Can you see me?
I can't see you, but you might.
We're working on it.
You might want to get face the phone backwards towards
Okay,
you.
Okay.
let's give that a shot. No, that's not working.
But flip the camera again so it's there, and then flip your phone.
Hmm.
looks like. We had it a minute ago, it looked like, but
You're right there, but I can't get it unblurry.
Maybe your lens is dirty. Is that it? And you could just clean it off. Is that something?
That's a possibility.
I'm gonna tell
Just bring me one of my blue cloths. Hmm.
Sorry.
Well, I can see that you can see me, but it's still blurry.
Yeah.
Really.
So maybe, so flip your screen again.
Okay, that's perfectly clear.
Yeah. So then flip your phone. So he won't, yeah, like that.
Can you
Like
see him?
that.
Where'd
Yeah.
he go?
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, he's gonna sit down here and I'll leave. There you go. I don't know why that's doing that.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that's good. All right. So, yeah, it's good. So, welcome and thank you for taking your time out to do this. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good.
Yeah. So, I'll start off by asking you my first question.
Great, sounds good.
When did you start doing wrestling and what made you want to do it?
Well, I always had a plan to get into the business since I was about 10 years old. And I prepared myself by taking amateur wrestling, judo, things like that. And I knew I was living in Vancouver, and all the wrestlers trained free at the Western Gym. So I went to the owner and got him to let me manage the gym. So I got to meet all the wrestlers looking for somebody to train me because in those days there was no wrestling schools. You just had to find a grizzled old veteran and hope that he didn't kill you type thing. And I found Rocky Johnson, and every time he wasn't on the road, he'd come into the gym because it had a ring and a full weight gym, and we'd work out he'd do his daily workout, then he'd get in the ring and work with me for a couple hours. And we did that every day he wasn't on the road. That's The Rock's father, if people don't know. Soul Man Rocky Johnson.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
cool.
yeah, he was a very good mentor, trainer, and friend. And even though in my last 6 weeks of training he broke my ankle, but he was a great guy to work with, and he helped me a lot get into the business. Got me my first booking in Calgary with Stu Hart, uh, where I re-broke my ankle again for the second time. But
Oh, wow.
I had a lot of injuries getting. I had two broken ankles by two different legends before I even got into the business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I had quite a time of it, and I went to Calgary, got hurt, got on a plane, came home, regrouped and healed, and broke in with All Star Wrestling in Vancouver. Usually they don't like you to break into in your hometown, but seeing that I'd been to Calgary and that, they made an exception with me. and I worked for All Star Wrestling for about 7 years. I broke in '83 and 84, '83, and I had my last match in 2005. So I had quite a long career, and I also managed. I did just about everything. I color commentated on the BCTV All Star Wrestling show.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I did a lot in the business. Enjoyed
Yeah.
it, you know.
Sure.
Yeah,
Did you
and
watch? Did you get to watch wrestling as a kid? If so, who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
probably Gene Kiniski. He was good
Mm,
on the stick, you know. He was good in the ring.
yeah.
He had a very good presence, you know. Put himself over very well. And I watched wrestling from 10 years of old on, probably even younger. Uh, every weekend I'd watch it 2 or 3 times. You know, whatever was on, whatever we could get. Yeah,
Yep.
I loved it. And I always knew I wanted to get into the business. I just didn't know how. So, like I say, I got on at the Western Gym, pretty much worked for next to nothing, but I had access to all the wrestlers. So I
Yeah.
had several guys train me. Tiger Singh, well, not train me, work with me. Rocky Johnson was my trainer, but I had a lot of different guys I worked with too. You know, the Von Stagger brothers and things like guys like that. Uh,
For sure.
a lot of old timers, and a lot of the guys they just beat the heck out of you because it was like almost like they didn't want you to get into the business. They wanted you to fail, you know, because you were getting into their ring and taking their money, you know. That's the
Yeah.
feeling you get, you know. But I kept going, and I worked mostly for All Star in my career, and I worked for Steel Town Wrestling, ECCW, you know, places like that. And like I say, I had my last match in 2005, 2006. But by then I was getting pretty beat up, you know, and injuries
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I thought, well, it's time to hang the boots up. But I managed a little after, and uh, I always did both, wrestled, managed different champions, and in All Star Wrestling and other promotions, and it was
Yeah.
pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. I um, I had a lot of mentors. In a way, Stu Hart helped me a lot, even though he re-broke my ankle. I got to work in the famous Hart Dungeon, and
Oh, that's cool.
and that was, even though I got hurt in it, I got to wrestle a week. Or see, I had a cast on my leg from breaking my leg in Vancouver, my ankle, not my leg, and I had 6 weeks to go before I was booked into Calgary. So you know, as a wrestler, you never want to uh, break your word to a promoter. So I was about 18 at the time, 19. So I cut the cast off, triple wrapped it, got on a plane for Calgary, and tried to break in there. And the only thing that got broken was my ankle again, you know. But
Yeah.
I persevered and came back, healed up, and I've had several injuries over the years in the ring, but this was even before I broke in, and I had two broken ankles. But I've had broken arm, dislocated shoulders, and that. But the broken arm wasn't from wrestling; it was from training a guy. He tried to suplex me and couldn't do it, you know. But things,
Mm,
accidents happen. I mean, you always try and work together so that nobody gets hurt, but
yeah.
it doesn't always work that way, you know.
Yeah.
And I I won the uh, NWA Canadian Heavyweight Championship.
Mm.
That was my biggest title. I had a little run with that, and then I won the UWA Tag Team Championship with Diamond Timothy Flowers,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
and a good friend of mine, and we traveled the roads together, and we were, you know, always pretty tight, and we were a pretty fair tag team. And we lost those belts to Rick Davis and Billy Two Eagles in
Mm.
1990, I think it was. But I enjoyed both singles more, probably more than tag team, but I enjoyed both. I enjoyed
Yeah.
anything in the ring, you know, tag
Yeah.
teams,
Definitely.
yeah, battle royals were always a scream, you know. You always had good laughs in a battle royal. The only thing you had to realize, never go down in a battle royal because you get trampled, you know. But you know, there's little things you learn how to, you know, over the years that you don't do and you should do, and you know. Uh,
Yeah.
I had good promoters. I was lucky. Al Tomko was one of my promoters. He was pretty decent to me. I had a whole bunch of slew of matches. I think I must have wrestled him 12 different times.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
you know, for always for a title. I was main event usually with him, but I never won the belt off of him. But
Mm.
I got to work with some real good guys, you know, over the years.
For sure.
Joseph Cagle, and I could name names from here till the end of the program, but I won't. But I had a lot of good guys to work with, and I trained a few guys, helped a few guys get into the business. But for the most
Yeah.
part, it can be a bit of a hard life, but it's the way I did it. I take a little time off here and there to heal up and go back at it again. You know, that's when my managing always helped me. If I was hurt, I'd manage. You know, but
Yeah.
in wrestling, you got to learn to work hurt. I mean, if they've advertised you, you know, you're in the main event in this city, and you got to make sure you're there. If you're hurt, too bad. The promoter will say, "Well, that's good, kid, but you got to work tonight, anyways," you know, and you do. But the other guy will leave that area of your body alone and work. If you got a bad arm, he'll work the other arm. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to work together. It really is a team sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Do you watch The Business now? If so, who do you like watching if you do?
I don't watch it as much as I probably should, but I like some of the lesser known promotions like Impact and some of the ROH and things like that. And
Yeah.
you know, uh, I'm not a big fan as much as I used to be of the WWE, but I have some friends in there. Uh, I always talk to Mandy Rose, uh, people like that. You know, it's
Yeah.
I still got a lot of contacts, and uh, so many of the guys that I worked with are dead now, like Big John Tenta, the Earthquake.
Mm. Yep.
I had I was doing a run-in with him one night. I was supposed to run in. We were going to build a little feud. So I was to do a run-in, and I was playing poker in the Heels dressing room, and all of a sudden the promoter sticks his head in. Fuzzy, you're late. You gotta go. You gotta do the run-in. So I grabbed all my winnings. It was just quarters, but I stuffed my pockets with all these quarters.
Yeah.
Ran for the
Yeah.
ring, slid under the bottom rope, Pearl Harbored him from behind, and he let me beat him for a while, and then he stopped me, and he picked me up for a gorilla press, pressed me over his head 1, 2, 3 times, and on the third time, quarters spilled all over the ring. I mean, there must have been 150 quarters all over the ring, and then he slammed me as hard as he could right in the quarters because he wasn't happy with all the quarters in the ring. But he was a great guy to work with. I loved him, but he sure slammed me hard that night and all these quarters. So after it was time for me to scoot, get out of the ring, take off back to the dressing room, the matches were over. The ring crew, they swept up all the quarters, put them in a bag. The next week, I come back to Cloverdale in Vancouver for the next. We used to wrestle there every Saturday night. I come back the next week, and they handed me this great big bag of quarters. It's like I had a double PO. It was kind of funny. But you really get to, I mean, the guys are your brothers, and you look out for them, they
Yeah.
look out for you. But like I say, accidents happen. You get hurt. It's part of the business. You got to work with it.
Yep. Was there anybody that you looked up to in your family that possibly inspired you to get into wrestling?
No, pretty much everybody in my family wanted me not to do it. But
Yeah.
I was kind of rebellious, and they said don't do it. I'd do it, but not really. Never had it. But I was always very athletic. In my youth, I played baseball, soccer, a little basketball. I even got looked at by the Baltimore Orioles and
Oh wow.
scouted by the Orioles in my youth. And there's 3 of us they looked at up here. But, I turned to wrestling. Baseball is more money, I'll tell you that. But I always my heart was always in wrestling. I just loved
Yep.
wrestling. Yeah.
Who would you say would have been the stiffest wrestler you've gone in the ring with?
Gee, I've had so many stiff guys. Probably Stu Hart. Yeah, he'd really stretch you, and he always you'd start out working with him, and he'd go to amateur style and just tie you up like an octopus, and he really liked to inflict pain. I think he was a bit of a sadist. I mean, everybody loved the guy, I guess, but he could be pretty mean. He was probably one of the stiffest guys I'd ever gone with. And I remember one time, Honky Tonk Man was in Calgary there,
Mm,
and Stu always used to try and grab you and drag you off to the dungeon. A Honky Tonk Man
yeah.
didn't want to go. So Stu started shooting with him right on the porch of the house. He had him down on the porch of the house, stretching him, and in the house, the kids. Brett used to always. Actually, it was Owen that taped through the heaters down into the dungeon. You could hear guys screaming, for their life down there. And Owen used to make tapes of the guys screaming, guys trying to break into the business, and Stu stretching them. So when Brett went to the WWE, he took these tapes with him and would play them for all the boys, and they used to laugh. Thought that was so funny. Some poor kid getting tortured in the dungeon. But yeah, Stu was a real tough guy, real tough man. All the Harts were tough,
Yeah.
but it was such a shame when Owen got killed. It just broke my heart. But
Yeah, definitely.
when I first went to Calgary, they were all little kids, pretty much, you know. And I
Hmm.
watched them grow up and go to the big leagues, and Brett did so well. Yeah, Bret Hart, the Hitman, he was great. I always looked up to Bret. He was such a consummate wrestler. Never ever hurt anybody, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
he was just the greatest, in my opinion. Some people don't like Bret, but I always had great respect for him.
For sure.
Yeah.
What would you consider to be like your weakness and then strength in wrestling?
Uh, Weakness was probably injuries. I I had a lot of injuries over the years. The
Yeah.
strength is I always fought through them. Uh, I usually never miss matches. Few I have, of course. I mean, everybody misses matches, but the more you show up, the more respect you get, even if you're hurt, you know. And in my day, it was
Yeah.
a lot different than today, you know, because in those days, you know, you had to show up. You know, you just don't let the business down. If you couldn't be like a baby and say, "Well, I got a sore thumb and my can't work tonight." You just didn't do that, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you were beat, hurt, you just worked around it, you know, and everybody would help you, you know.
for sure.
Yeah.
Was it hard traveling from show to show, and what was the worst thing about that?
Um, I guess mostly the traveling, and you know, if you're away from home, a lot of wrestlers are on the road 300 days a year. I wasn't as much as that, but a lot of guys were because it's putting food on the table. You know,
Yeah.
you just got to do it. You know, uh, cheap hotels, trying to save money on the road to look after your family. Yeah, it was hard for a lot of guys, but. But I give a lot of those guys I have so much respect for doing that. They really paid their dues. You know,
Definitely.
everybody pays their dues in different ways. You know, some guys have the tenacity to keep coming back, hurt or not hurt. Other guys have different types of tenacity. You know, they're hard workers. They're athletic. Everybody has a different value in the ring. You know, there's
Yep.
every match builds to the main event. You know, it's the opening match is just as important. It's called the curtain jerker, but it's just as important as the main event. You know, and you
Yeah.
build to that
Yeah.
main event through a tag team, usually a tag team later in the show, before the main event. Unless the main event is a tag team, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you build towards it, and everybody works together to put on that show to heighten the main event, you know. And yeah, that was part of the job, you know, make other people
Yep.
look good. That's what I did the last part of my career. I put guys over a lot, you know, made them look good because
Yeah.
I was on my way out. So, you know, you gotta pass the torch and make them look
Hmm.
good and to put them over if you can. And belts usually don't mean nothing. Most wrestlers, like Bad News Allen, he always told me, it doesn't matter belts, title belts. Don't worry about title belts, Fuzzy. It's it's money. Don't make friends, make money. Yeah,
Yeah.
but a lot of guys told me that. Look after yourself, take care of yourself. Don't take those crazy bumps. It's gonna put you out of action.
Yeah.
But everybody has a favorite bump, or types of bump they can take without hurting themselves. I used to love going over the top rope backwards. That just that just to me that was fun. And
Yeah.
once you know how to do it, you don't get hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I suffered a lot of injuries. That was my Achilles heel, the injuries. I suffered my share of them. I don't know, maybe I was accident prone, I don't know. But I always showed up pretty much. I never, you know, I wasn't one to miss matches and cause havoc for the promoter or not show up. Nothing worse than you're got a main event and the lead guy doesn't show up. That's just terrible. It hurts the promoter, it hurts the promotion, it hurts the whole business.
Yeah, definitely. Who was your first opponent in front of a crowd, and how did you feel going into that first match?
I was nervous. I was nervous. Uh, I wrestled the biker, Bernie
Ah,
Burns. That was my first match in All Star Wrestling. And he was a good guy in the ring. He was a real good guy. He ran into a little trouble outside of the ring, but I won't go into that because I don't want to do that. But he was great to me, and we had some good matches. But he was my first, and he treated me real well, and I loved him for it. He was still around. My first 6 months, I was a baby face, and then after 6 months, they turned me heel, and I just loved it. Never looked back. Never wrestled as a face again. Uh, right till my last match in 2005, 2006 in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Uh, I wrestled with Bundy and Rob Stardom in a six-man tag, and that was, and I got kind of pulled into that. I was kind of conned into that match. I pretty much was winding down, and the promoter told me, "Well, all you have to do tonight is manage." Then when I got to the ring, oh, we changed our mind, Fuzzy. You're in the main event. But I'll pay you double, so it's okay. Yeah, Al Tomko used to do that to me a lot. He'd double pay me whenever he screwed me over. He said,
yeah.
"It's okay, because I want to pay you double tonight." That usually quieted me down. I didn't get so upset. One time I got so mad at Al, I slammed his door off its hinges. But it was
Oh
I
wow.
wasn't really that mad. I was just making a point. I didn't mean to break the door though, but Al knew from then on, well, this guy means business. We almost a couple times that Tomko and I almost got into it, but
Yeah.
yeah, but we always worked together in the ring. We could always put our personalities aside and work together and have a good match. And as far as I'm concerned, he was a good promoter. I know there's a lot of stuff on the internet that says otherwise, and
Yeah.
he treated me good. Always treated me good. He gave me something that some others didn't, and that was opportunity that
Yeah.
wasn't getting elsewhere. and put me on top. When he told me, he says, "I'll never put you on top." And over the years, he changed his mind. Instead of me being a curtain jerker and doing jobs, he put me on top, and I won the Canadian heavyweight, NWA Canadian heavyweight title, and the tag team titles in the UWA, and those were
Yeah,
great times for my career, anyways. And
sure.
yeah, he was good to me, and all the boys who worked in that promotion were pretty darn good hands. There's a lot of people that finished their career or started their career there. And so you had guys that were green, that you had to work around and try and make better, and other guys that were really good and really experienced, like Moose Morowski and guys like that, that were just great. Moose had the look. He looked mean, tough, and but he was a good guy, a nice guy. He looked the part. Was I
Yeah,
was a heel. I was a heel like me. Never worked as anything but a heel. Uh, like I say, I worked 6 months as a face, and I hated it. And then I was so happy when they said, the bikers are gonna jump you tonight." We had a group called the Bikers, and they were gonna jump me, beat me up, throw me over the top rope, do all that stuff to me, hit me with chairs, and then I was supposed to somehow go with them, join their side, and be a bad guy. And I never looked back. I loved it. I then I didn't have to sign autographs, so I didn't want to. Yeah, I loved being a heel. It just suited
yeah,
me. And everybody tells me I'm a nice guy. It's not that I'm mean spirited. I'm a team player and all that, but the heels just suited me.
yeah,
It wasn't me really, but I loved playing the role. Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah. It's acting 101. You play the part they give you, and they gave me the heel role, and I ran with it. And from promotion to promotion, it was good for me.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was even a heel manager, a heel commentator. I did a lot of color commentating with BCTV. I worked, even as a heel, I worked the Children's Cancer Fund annual thing in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I did a lot of community stuff, oriented stuff, which kind of went against my heel persona, but really it was me. I loved doing stuff like that. That was
Yeah.
good for the community. And a lot of promotions do that. They give back, and I always liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. We had an old woman that her name was Jessie that used to go to the All Star matches. Old lady, and she just hated me. And get out, and she'd put her finger in her nose and wave at me and hassle me when I came to the ring, and come up to the ring and pound on the apron and say, "You dirty, filthy Yankee, go back to America." And she just she got really sick at the end, and she's been to just about every show for years and years and years. So all the boys were going up to see her in the hospital. All the good guys, kind of, the baby faces were going to see her. And Al Tomko heard that, the promoter. He'd come running up to me and he goes, "Fuzzy, you're not going to that hospital. You'll kill the old lady." And I said, "No, of course I'm not going. She hates me. She'd have a heart attack." But underneath, I loved her because she added such a lot to my persona, like coming to the ring and pounding on the apron and telling me off, and you know,
Yeah.
I'd put my fists up with her like I'm gonna fight with her, and she'd put her fists up, and she was a hoot.
Yeah.
She hated me, but I loved her. You know, it was really funny.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good fans like that came every week, or and especially to the TV. They loved the TV because it was free, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, we like to pack the house, so the more the better. But they'd be waiting down the street, lines of people to get into the BCTV studios every twice a month. We tape our shows on the TV. We do two shows, 2 1 hour shows one night, and two 1 hour shows the next night, and do the whole month in that short time period. So you really had to make sure the crew that was doing that was going to be on the road, because if somebody left town, it really messed up the schedule, you know,
Yep.
because it's already in the can, you know, the shows, the
Yeah.
TV tapings. But I never missed a TV taping. I was a real ham. I loved being on TV.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You might have, I think you accidentally hit the uh the camera to switch it around.
Oh, okay. What do you want me to do?
Do you see the buttons under your camera?
Oh, now it's back to fuzzy again, like me. Uh, okay. I'm trying to lift it up, but it's not lifting up.
Okay, there we
There
go.
we go. Turn it around again?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'll keep my fingers out of the way now.
And you're. Mhm.
Yeah, my wife's helping me here, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Here we go.
I'm gonna put it down so that is that okay?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. Sorry about that. I got big
It's fine.
fingers, big mouth and big fingers. Yeah.
Okay. So if you could go back in time and wrestle anyone that has passed away, who would that be?
Probably Dutch Savage.
Mm,
I
yeah.
I really like Dutch Savage. Uh, I probably got a lot of them. Kaniski. Uh, I'm old school because I'm thinking back more when I was a young kid watching wrestling as a young kid, and it would be a great honor to wrestle Canadian's greatest athlete, Gene Kaniski,
Mm,
uh,
yeah.
Mr. X, some of those guys. Yeah, I got to wrestle John Tenta. That was a big one for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely.
uh, I wrestled. I wrestled a lot of big guys. I wrestled Wojo. He was close to 7 feet. Boy, when he slammed you, the BC Hulk, he really felt it. He could be a little stiff, but he was a good guy. A good guy, big man, good guy, good heart. Um, yeah, those guys, I guess. Uh, and probably Mike Rotunda, uh, Barry Windham. They're in the same family, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I've always had a lot of respect for them. Uh, Greg the Hammer Valentine. Love to work with him.
Yeah, definitely.
Real solid guy. I've met him a few times, but
Jimmy
Yeah.
Snuka.
Jimmy Snuka,
Oh yeah.
yeah, people like that. Yeah, yeah. I guess that's a few of them, anyways.
For sure.
Yeah.
Who would you top off as your 3 top favorite opponents in your career?
Probably John Tanta would be one. Uh, Working with Goliath Wojo would be another one,
Mm,
and
yeah.
and hmm,
Flowers.
probably Tim Flowers. That's who I won the title from. Uh, After our tag team broke up, we went on TV and started blaming each other.
Hmm.
I said, my back sore for all the years I carried Tim Flowers as a tag partner. And the next time we did a television show, we turned our backs on each other. And then the feud was on after that. We just started fighting in the promo, and, we had our matches. He was great guy to work with, real professional. He worked in New York. He worked everywhere. He was a
That's
real,
true.
a real good hand. And I always thought he should have gone a lot farther than he did. Not that he didn't do a lot, but he was my favorite tag team partner. Ole Olsen was another famous tag team partner I had. It was my fault. We were doing a show. We were both a heel team and we're leaving. And one of the fans threw a coffee at me, and I went to go for the fan, and I pulled security away, and somebody stabbed Ole in the side with uh, yeah, and he I grabbed the person by the hair and yanked it around. I was going to smash him, and I thought, my God, it's a girl. I didn't hit her or anything. I just let her go. And all of a sudden, Ole says, Fuzzy, like he's about 15, 20 feet away from me. Fuzzy, it's okay. It's just a flesh wound, whatever that meant. He's bleeding all over the place. But it was a nail file she stabbed him with. And that was in Cloverdale too. We had nutty fans in Cloverdale. Um, I was wrestling Tomko in Cloverdale, and on TV that day, Tomko told the audience, "Bring all of your rotten eggs and throw them at Fuzzy Sayers." And we were in a cage that night, and they did. They
Mm,
threw all these eggs, and they even went into the cow fields. Scooped up cow poop in bags and threw it at me, and oh, it was horrible. And
wow.
when I tried to get out of the ring, my feet just started slipping on all these eggs, and I landed at the feet of one of these fans. I thought, oh God, he's going to probably stomp me to death, but he didn't. Thank goodness for that. But it was so slippery from eggs. One comment on TV, and everybody bought eggs, and they threw them and threw them, and cow pies and everything else you can think of. It was just a horrible mess. I think
Wow.
I spent an hour in the shower after that night. I think I got double paid that night too. It
Well,
all
that's
felt so good
good.
for me. Yeah. because if he wouldn't have opened his big mouth on TV, it never would have happened. He almost started a huge riot. He was the promoter at the time. But yeah, a lot of memorable nights like that. You know, I loved working with Ole Olson too, against him and as a partner. We were a pretty fair tag team back in the day, but we never got the accolades that me and Flowers did. We were never champions, but we were a good heel tag team, and we made a little money for the promotion and ourselves. And yeah, we were all right. We did pretty good together and did a lot of big main event matches. And I loved Ole. And
Yeah.
this is when he was a monster. He was just huge. I don't even know how they stabbed him with that nail file. He had so much muscle. I mean, he was just incredible. You know, he looked more like a bodybuilder than a wrestler, but he was a great wrestler too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. But yeah, I liked a lot of the guys. Got good memories to last a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you usually get along or become friends with like most of your opponents?
One or two, you get into almost a shooting contest in there where they want to try and, you know, push you around a little. But I got along good with 99% of the guys I worked with. But there's always a few, and I won't name them, but one individual that was one of the reasons why I took judo and that, so I could. And I had Bud Rattel. I probably don't know who he is. He's an old timer that was a shooter, and he took me under his wing, and he said, I'm gonna help you make sure that you don't get really hurt in there." And he did. He showed me things to tie people up and that. Not that I was ever a real tough guy, but there's always somebody that wants to push your buttons in there and show that they're tougher than you. The individual I'm thinking of was a real jerk, and we got into it, and it spoils the whole match. You know, you're there to entertain the people, not. But I'm sure some people enjoyed it because we really duked it out, you know. But sometimes it comes down to that, but usually not. Usually you work
Yeah.
together, and you're. I was always a friendly guy, and I didn't make enemies, and but in wrestling there's a lot of big egos, you know, and everybody wants to wear the belt, make the big money, and you know, go on to the bigger promotion and that. And there's a lot of egos, and sometimes dropping a title can be bring on such anxiety that the wrestler almost has a breakdown. I've seen that happen where, you know,
Oh wow.
they're so upset that they're losing a title that was given to them really in the first place. I mean, they didn't earn it. I mean, a lot of people think, well, he's a champion, you know. No, he's not. He's a wrestler who was given a break because the promoter likes your look, the booker likes your look, think you can draw money, and they give you the title. And there's no such thing as really earning it. I mean, people do earn titles by bringing the crowd in and being successful in their craft, but a lot of times it's the promoter that decides. In fact, it is the promoter and the booker who decides who gets the belts, who's going to bring the most money in. And but it goes to people's heads, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't give them my title," you know. And then I'll be nobody again, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I dropped my title, I just kind of laughed, you know. So what? They told me this is your night. You got to drop that belt tonight, you know. expecting that I'm going to break down in tears, you know. No, that's part of the business. When you get the belt, it's nice, you feel good. When you lose
Yep.
it, you should feel just as good. You know, you've put somebody else over. You've made that guy's career or helped make his career. You know, it's a business. And everybody's has a different view of it. I've seen a lot of guys, their egos are so big, bigger than their heads even. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You know, when you lose your belts, you lose your belts. It's not the end of the
Yeah.
world. But some people get carried away like, oh no. I always thought that was kind of funny. But that's just me,
Yeah.
you know. Like Bad News Allen used to always say, it's not the belts, it's the money. He says, I don't care about belts, I just want money.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good, in a way, I wasn't really as close to him as I talked to him a lot. We used to talk, he was a judo champion. Like myself, I took judo and we had the judo connection. And we'd talk about judo where everybody else is talking about putting together the wrestling match. Me and News would talk judo because he won the 72. No, he didn't win. He won a medal. Uh, can't remember. It wasn't gold, but he won a medal in the 72 Olympics. And he was a
Yeah.
tough guy. And he even uh, the giant backed down from him, Andre.
Oh wow.
Andre backed down from him. Andre was using the N word in the bus,
Oh.
and Bad News jumped up, stop the bus, stop the bus, and he said to him, "Come on out of the bus, outside, out into onto the street, you and me, right now." And Andre didn't want to fight him because he knew how tough he was, even though Andre's a monster, you know. He didn't want to fight him. He said,
Yeah.
uh, I'd never, Bad News said to him, I'd never disrespect your people like that. Why would you disrespect mine? So Andre kind of backed down. They all got back on the bus. Everybody, you know, was cooled Bad News down. The next day, they're in the hotel, and Andre comes down the elevator, steps off the elevator. Bad News is waiting for him, and Bad News starts it up again. What did you
Mm.
say on the bus yesterday? And Andre didn't want to come out of the elevator. So that just goes to show you how tough News was when Andre wouldn't tangle with him.
Oh.
But,
Oh wow.
you know, Andre's a big man, but not as tough as Bad News Allen. And Bad News Allen was the real deal. And he had a lot of guys wouldn't tangle with him. But he was good in the ring. And he even worked with Andre after that. He worked with Andre in a match where Andre used to drink wine all the time. I'm sure you've heard that. And he's a real drinker. And they were doing a spot where News was supposed to hit the ropes, go over Andre. Andre was supposed to get up and turn his butt towards News, and News would take a big bump off his backside. Well, as soon as Bad News hit, Andre exploded, crapped in his trunks. Bad News smelled like uh, it just terrible. It just reeked, apparently, from what I heard. I wasn't there, but I heard it. And uh, News spent the rest of the night in the showers. He was just stunk so bad. But Andre used to do that all the time, drink like that. I guess that's probably why he killed himself, by drinking so much, or why he died young, you know, because he wasn't that old. I think it was 50 or 40 something when he died,
Yeah.
but kind of tragic. But even when he wrestled Hogan, he was the big match, the match of the century, as they called it. But he was really on a downhill slide. He knew he was on his way out, and he wanted one or two more big matches to make some money, big money, before, you know, he was out of the business. And
Yeah.
then he went to his father's funeral, and it ended up being his funeral too. He never came home, you know. But you know, wrestling can be sad like that. You know, you're on the road all the time, and
Yeah, for sure.
you know, yeah. But
Would you?
I thought I'd throw that story in about Andre. I thought it was kind of funny when news
Yeah, that
came
was
behind,
good.
and he just exploded. I guess he drank too much wine that day.
So, would you rather be in a blindfolded match, handcuffed to your opponent, or a dog collar?
I've been in a handcuff match, and I kind of like that. Probably the handcuff match. I have more experience in it. I feel more at home. Yeah, yeah. I'd go for the. I'd love to try the dog collar match though. In my prime, I'd love that.
Yeah, for sure.
I seen Moondog Moretti have great matches like that, and it gave me a few ideas in the back of my head. If that ever came to fruition, I would look forward to doing it. But I never ended up in that position. I never had much to do with the dog, I guess. But I would have loved that too. But I have had the handcuff match, and I've had the handcuff match, and I've had the tied, where we're tied together.
Oh, yeah.
And they were fun because you could throw the guy over the top rope, and then you go over, you get pulled over yourself, you know, and
Yeah.
crowd pops because you're the heel and you're trying to do something devious, throw him over the top rope, and then you get pulled over too. The house usually pops. It's a good spot. Yeah, everybody uses other people's spots or gimmicks, you know, ideas.
Yep.
Yeah, there's not a lot of new ideas in wrestling. They get
Yeah, definitely.
recycled. Yeah.
Is there any time a fan has seen you in public and got super surprised?
Oh yeah, especially in Vancouver. I was really well known in Vancouver. Uh, on the West Coast, I was quite well known. So yeah, I get, you know, get surprised, excited fans, and you know, wanna. And in the end, if they want an autograph or a picture or whatever, I'd go for that. I got, I even got pictures myself of fans that took pictures. I don't even know who they are, and I don't know how I got the picture, but
Yeah.
I did. But yeah, yeah, yeah. You're a minor celebrity. People recognize you a lot, you know,
Yeah.
or you see them pointing and talking about you. You know.
If a movie was made about your career, who would you want to play you?
Gee, that's a tough one. Uh, I loved The Wrestler, and the guy that played the wrestler, I can't think of his name.
Oh.
Rourke, Mickey Rourke.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Not that I look like Mickey Rourke, I know, but I love the way he played the role, and he looked like a wrestler. And I worked with many guys that were so similar to that movie that, yeah, I have to say Mickey Rourke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was good in that movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Some guys didn't. Some thought it was, but I liked it. That's just me.
yeah. If you got to choose the stipulation for your match, what stipulation would you choose?
Uh, uh, I like cage matches, but probably the dog collar match because I'd never done that. And I've seen guys do it so well. I got so many good ideas for that match. I probably want that, the dog collar match, because I've got so many ideas in the back of my head that I could do. I got a lot of them from Ed Moondog Moretti and a few other guys that I've seen in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go with that. Yeah, yeah. I'd love to be in one of those.
What has been probably the funniest thing a fan has said to you before?
Ah, yeah. Funniest thing a fan has said. I can't think of much on that. Sorry about that.
That's
Uh,
fine.
yeah. Mostly they're throwing stuff and
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anything on that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Which wrestler has given you the best advice and or compliment?
Uh, one wrestler that I really took to heart was Moondog Ed Moretti. After we had a real good match, he just came back to the dressing room, patted me on the back, and said, "Good match, kid. Good match." You know,
Mm-hmm.
made me feel like $1 million because he'd been around at the time I was just young. It was the early part of my career, and he was on top and he was wearing the strap. It wasn't a title match, of course, but he did a big splash finish elbow off the top rope, and that was the finish for the match. And I was so young and starting, and he was the veteran, and he was on top. And to many, it wouldn't be that big a deal, probably, but to me, it really meant something coming from him because I respect him so much. He's wrestled in so many places and
For sure.
brought the house down in so many places, and I just admire him as a wrestler and a man.
Yeah.
Real good. Yeah, I have to say him.
Yeah. Was there ever a time in your career you ever got kicked out of a wrestling show you were wrestling at?
No, I don't think I ever did. No, no, I didn't. No, I probably should have been. I should have been. I've done things, pushed fans and stuff like that where, you know, almost could have been charged even,
Oh wow.
but where, fans want to take liberties with you, even in parking lots. You got to be so careful when you're a heel where you park your car, and, uh,
Yeah.
Mad Dog Vachon, he got parked his car too close to the arena and he come out, and all four of his tires were slashed, and
Wow.
you know, after I heard that, I thought, geez, I'm going to be more careful, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I love my car.
Yeah, because where are you gonna go after the show if you don't have a car?
Yeah,
You'll be sitting on the road.
yeah. One guy I wanted to add to the list of guys I'd love to have worked with, and I never got a chance to, was Buddy Rose.
Oh yeah.
I love Buddy Rose. He was a great guy, real wild man. Uh, just a hit of the party. In fact,
Yeah.
some people wouldn't even tell him where the party was. They were afraid he'd use up all the party favors. But he was a good guy. I met him a few times now, but I never got to work with him. I think because we were both heels, and you know, and he was only with my promotion a short time. And but he was a nice fella, real nice fella,
Yeah.
and miss him. Yeah.
If you could wrestle for any wrestling company right now, or like do like a managing job or a backstage job, what company would you possibly want to work for?
Uh, uh, I wouldn't probably have said this a year ago, but right now WWE, now that Hunter's in charge,
Mm, yeah.
uh, yeah, I think it'd be easier. He Vince is a little harder to work with, I've heard, but
Mm-hmm.
Hunter's supposed to be opening a lot of doors that Vince has closed,
Yeah.
and bringing back people that Vince wouldn't have, even though they're. I'm sure Vince still has a tight rein on the company, but Hunter's got the say now. So yeah,
Yeah.
now that Hunter's in charge, that would be WWE. Yeah, I wouldn't have said that a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah. Out of all the companies you have wrestled for, such as ASW, NWA, BCT, BCTV, or like any of the other ones, which one would you say would have been your favorite that you worked for?
Probably All Star because they give me the biggest breaks and the biggest pushes, and I did so many different jobs with them as well as wrestling, and even helped with a little promotion, you know, of the uh, around the time Neil Drummond took over toward the end. Yeah, I'd have to say All Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very good to me. Always treated me with respect. Uh, Usually never asked me to do anything that they wouldn't do. The promoter. Well, that's
Yeah.
probably not true, but anyways, yeah, they were good to me. Put it that way. I
Yeah.
like some of the smaller promotions I worked with, ECCW and Steel Town, and you know, different places like that where I didn't work that long, but dropped in for a cup of coffee here and there. Yeah, I enjoyed them too. I've never
Yeah.
been treated badly by any promotion, really. There
That's good.
some better than others, but I can't name one that really dumped on me, you know.
Yep.
I may not have got the big push that I wanted, but I got experience and I usually got opportunity. So you can't ask for much more when you're breaking in. You need experience, you know. So
Mm-hmm. Would you rather join the DX NWO, APA, or BWO?
NWO?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. NWO. I kind of like them all, but that would be my favorite of the bunch. The
Yeah.
people that worked with in them. Yeah, I'd have to say them.
If you could have any band or singer perform your theme song, who would you want that to be?
Oh, gee. Oh, that's a tough one. A singer that to perform. Uh, I can't think of a singer. Let me see. Yeah, I can't think of a singer that I really want. Uh, uh, no, I can't think of a singer.
Okay, that's fine. So then, what is the least favorite wrestling move to have happened to you?
Uh, I got one night in a match. I got a chop to the throat.
Oh
Doesn't
wow.
sound bad, but I couldn't breathe. I couldn't. It just about. I think I ended up going to the hospital. Can't remember now. So long ago, but it was so panicky. It wasn't like a broken bone or an injury. It was just so scary. I thought I was done for. Yeah, I'd have to say that. And it wasn't meant to be horrendous. It was just an ordinary chop that should have been on his chest. But a height difference, and I just got it right in the throat. And
Wow.
it was one of the scariest things that, like, I've had injuries like dislocated this, dislocated that, broken arm, the ankles, broken ribs, stuff like that. But this was so frightening. It was like a near death experience. I thought I was done for. And it seemed to
Yeah.
last forever. And yeah, I won't even mention who did it because the person felt terrible. But, accidents happen, and this was an accident. It certainly wasn't intentional. It was supposed to be a chop, a chest chop, and I took it too high, I guess, and
Yeah.
it was just one of those things. Scared the daylights out of me.
Mm-hmm. I bet. What has been probably the hardest move you have tried to do on an opponent before?
Uh, Suplex off the top rope is a lot harder than people think. It took me a long time to get to do that. Uh,
Yeah.
you're supposed to start out with the second rope. Do that
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of times until you get used to the weight. But the top is a whole different story. You got to get up there, keep your balance, keep the guys that you're doing it to's balance, and then go over and hope you land good. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tough move, but you see guys do it so well these days that it doesn't look that tough anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
But to get to the point where it's not tough is really a chore.
Definitely. Yep. Have you ever wrestled or done anything in Wisconsin before?
With what?
In Wisconsin, have you ever wrestled or done anything there before?
No.
If you could steal any signature move from any other wrestler, what signature move would that be?
I I really like the figure four.
Mm,
I like
yeah.
figure four. It's not that hard of a move. It's not hard on your body too much. Yeah, I'd say the figure four, and Ric Flair did a nice figure four, going all the way back to Buddy Nature Boy Rogers, the original Nature Boy.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
you know, they they had it down to a science, and Flair stole the move from Rogers, and Rogers probably stole it from somebody else, and stole it from somebody else, and on down the line.
Yeah.
That's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What usually got you hyped for a match that you were going to be in?
Usually the build up, the promos that we both put into it to sell it. If we did the promos on TV, which I always did, the guy I was working with always did, and it made it really psyched you up on a number of ways, like from the crowd to the TV to the promos, and it all culminates in the ring.
Yeah.
It really, a combination of everything coming together all at once, and it's like an explosion. It just happens. It's so cool.
Yep. What was your favorite thing to do after all your matches?
Usually just kick back and uh, talk to my wife. Uh, she'd come to a lot of my matches, especially in the early days. Uh, she was a nurse, and she'd even help the boys if somebody got hurt, or and if I really got hurt, I had a little sign to give her that I need help.
Yeah.
if, if I was almost bleeding to death, which I have almost on a couple of occasions, but yeah, no, mostly relax afterwards, have a little, maybe in the old days, a beer too. I've
Yeah.
never been a drinker, don't drink now much, but yeah, that, relax, that's what I'd say, just relax.
Mm-hmm.
Get a little rub down maybe. Yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah. Out of all the venues you've wrestled at, which one has been your most favorite?
Uh, I really have fond memory of ECCW because I was there for their startup match. matches.
Yeah.
That's a big one in a way, but I probably All-Star Wrestling be pretty high on the list too. And I
Yeah.
enjoyed Steeltown Wrestling too. But I'd probably have to say ECCW was a high point because it was their first, and me and Michelle Starr were booked on it. And but All Star Wrestling it was my mainstay, so I'd probably go back to them again.
For sure. Has there been any time in your wrestling career you have accidentally broken out of your wrestling persona?
Yeah, I don't know if you know Buddy Wayne.
Oh,
Buddy
yep.
Buddy Wayne was such a crack up, and he'd do anything to make you laugh, and he always succeeded with me. If we were in battle royals, he'd whisper something in my ear that would crack me up, or when I'm supposed to be attacking him, he'd do something outrageous, crack me up. He was he was just a great guy. Everybody loved him. I never heard a bad word said about the guy. He was so well liked in the business, and he left us way too young.
Mm-hmm.
Good guy. Great to be on the road with. Everybody that said that, because he was always so funny. He could have been a comedian. He was that funny.
Oh, wow.
But he was a good guy too. Real nice man.
Yeah.
Cried like a baby when I heard he died.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten embarrassed due to like a wrestling mistake or anything like that?
Yeah, that happens more than you think. Things don't work, but you can usually pull a rabbit out of a hat and turn it into something that the fans will buy. But
Yeah.
it happens a lot more. If the fans knew how many times that happened, they'd be really shocked. But you just got to go with it and turn it into something else. And something so simple can be screwed up so badly, so easily. And but you try and go with the flow and keep the match going and not crack up or just keep on working.
Yep. What has been the scariest or most dangerous incident in your wrestling career?
Having a rope break is pretty scary.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
have to hit the rope and there's no top rope. You go
Oh,
right
yeah.
over.
Definitely.
And in our days, we didn't have mats around the ring. It was just a cement floor, and you hit your head or your body on that. You know, it's only in the last few years or number of years that they've got mats and everything, and things are padded a little better. But we do body slams on the concrete and stuff like that. It was all in a night's work. You just, oh well, yeah, I'll take the slam, sure. The next day you're thinking, I shouldn't have taken that slam.
Yeah. What has been like the biggest, most worst injury you've ever had?
Uh, the broken arm was a bad one, but I think the ankle chopped to the throat was really scary. Different than a lot of it was a panic injury.
Mm-hmm.
I thought dying, and you know, I probably had more than enough than most people in the business, but it didn't really change my career a lot. I still went on working, but I'd have to take time off sometimes when I didn't want to. Sometimes miss out on opportunities, but that's life. You know, you just have to do what you have to do to keep yourself healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
I had a I had a lot of good advice from a lot of good guys, like the guy that trained me. I told you, my mentor, my friend Rocky Johnson. He was always telling me to protect myself, look after your body, and he was a great athlete too. He worked out every day. He was just an all-around good guy. Gave me a lot of good advice, put me in the right direction, got me my first booking, did so much for my career. If it wasn't for him, I'd never be in it, never got into the ring.
Yeah.
So I always give him credit. He was a great guy. And Stu Hart was another one, even though he was tough as nails and mean as can be. He's taught me a lot about uh, the different types of finishing a guy off in amateur wrestling. And Bud Rattel, another guy that taught me a lot about amateur wrestling. That, and I placed high in BC in amateur wrestling as a young guy. And I had judo experience, which is always a big help. When somebody takes liberties with you, you got to put a stop to it in the ring right away, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't. If somebody takes liberties with you one time, they're going to do it again, and they're going to do it again. And plus, you look bad in front of all the other wrestlers. You got to stand up for yourself in there. Can't let somebody push you around. I never did, and I'm certainly not a tough guy, but I was well prepared. I think for I could be if I had to be, and I wasn't going to let some bully take advantage of me in the business that I loved.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
If back in the day you got told you couldn't medically wrestle for the rest of your life, what would you do?
Now, I'd probably try and work around it a little. I don't know. That's a tough decision to make when you're facing, you know, wrestling isn't the only thing you can do, but it might be the only thing you love. So I have known a lot of guys that probably have been in that position that have gone on and persevered, and it's probably been the death of them. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'd rather be happy than miserable, but I think I hung up my boots at the right time.
Yeah.
I was getting to the point where I was getting close to being not just a danger to myself, but maybe a danger to somebody else, and I never wanted to hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I hung them up, but this was after 25 years, I mean, I had a long career. I was very fortunate. I had my share of injuries, of course, but I think everybody does. But if I was told that, it probably depends on which stage of my career. If I was already had so many years in, I'd probably try to take it very seriously. But I don't know. might continue. It gets in your blood. It's so hard to step away from, even when you know it's time. So many guys, they don't save their money. They they don't take care of themselves. They don't save their money and party too hard, and they're just not prepared for anything else. A lot of wrestlers, I love a lot of them, but some of them, if they weren't wrestling, they might be in jail. I mean, or I don't know. It's just that's what they're cut out for. So probably it would take a lot to take me out of the ring. Probably take a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you are worthy enough to be part of a wrestling Hall of Fame?
I am. I'm in the Canadian Hall of Fame.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I was inducted quite a while ago. And,
How do you feel to be honored as such as to be known to
oh,
be?
I was really, really proud of that, to be in the same category as Gene Kiniski. Not that I believe I am, but to be in the same Hall of Fame as him, uh, Don Leo Jonathan, people like, I don't feel I'm worthy to lace up their boots, maybe, but I'm in the same Hall of Fame as they're in. So yeah, I was really, really taken back when I was inducted, and it meant a lot to me. One of the proudest moments of, probably prouder than winning any titles that I won or were
Yeah.
blessed with or whatever. Yeah, it was a big deal for me. Really touched my heart. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What are 4 words you would describe your wrestling persona?
Uh, I was a backstepping heel. You know what I mean by that? I'd,
No.
I'd, I was quick to take a back step when my opponent was mad, and back off and chicken out a little. And I was a real heel's heel. I'd be mean and tough when I was up, and then when my opponent was hot, I'd back off and step out of the ring, cower a little. A cowardly heel is a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I liked working that angle because it used to just drive the crowd nuts. It brought me
Yeah.
so much extra heat. When I would, like, I was so tough when I was on top, and then when the guy exploded, I'd back up and whoa, I'd shake hands, that kind of nonsense. And I just used to love that persona. To me, it popped the crowd a lot in my era. It doesn't work so much today, but in my era, it was a good gimmick.
Mm-hmm. For sure. What are 3 things that annoy or annoyed you the most in wrestling?
One was the referee would always be made to look so stupid. Uh, that was one of them. Sometimes the conditions of the rings you worked in were like, don't go over to that side of the ring because it might collapse. When I got into All Star, I didn't have to deal with that. It was a lot better. But there's some promotions that they didn't have the equipment that they should have, and it was a danger to your health. And that's probably one of them. And promoters that don't care about you, they don't care if, as long as you go out there and do the match, they don't care if you're hurt. That bugged
Yeah.
me. That would probably be my third one.
Yeah.
But then I had
What
the
about?
type that did care, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I dealt with both.
Yeah. What about? What are 3 things that you liked the most about wrestling?
I liked the adulation, even though I was a heel. I was a well-known heel.
Yeah.
I'd get newspaper articles and the odd magazine thing on me and put me over, and I liked that. I liked being on TV. I liked being a minor celebrity where people know you, and even though you're a heel, they look up to you, and I got to do some good with it, like cancer, uh, working with cancer, raising cancer awareness, cancer funds. I was doing that annually, and that was a big trip for me doing that because it's like it gave me a lot of wrestling opened a lot of doors for me.
Yeah.
I was in the movie Stay Tuned with John Ritter,
Oh wow.
and can't remember her name. What's the name of the woman that was in Stay Tuned?
Oh, stay tuned with Ritter, John Ritter.
Yeah, but the other one. Uh, yeah, John Ritter was in it.
Oh, Pam Dauber.
Pam Dauber was in it. She was so nice to me. She even let me babysit her kid.
Oh wow.
And she was such a nice lady. She got out of acting not too long after that, but she was pretty big when I worked with her. And the meals, they fed us like kings on that site. I can't remember that guy that was in it, one of the,
Big boss man.
you know, can't remember one of the, George Gray was in it. I can't remember his wrestling name now, it won't come to me. But doesn't matter. He was in it. Half of the roster of All Star Wrestling was in it.
Oh,
It was a real
one man gang.
one man gang. That's right. He was. I got to know him real well in the movie. One time we're in they're feeding us in this real classy dining room set up, and they're clearing the dishes off. This guy goes to grab one man gang's plate. Hey, bring that back, he said. It was so funny. Cracked the whole table up. All the boys were roaring. He hadn't finished eating, so he was going to eat some more. God, could he eat? But he was a nice guy. George Gray, that's his real name. Real
Yeah.
nice fellow. Yeah, good sense of humor. But John Ritter was a bit of a sissy in it. He one man gang was supposed to drop an elbow on Ritter, and they stopped it, brought in a stuntman, a double. He drops the elbow on it, and somehow Ritter's trying to tell him that it hurt his shoulder. So they had to stop taping because John Ritter's shoulder was hurting, but yet he wasn't in the ring when it happened. The double was. So he had to have some massages and some babying for a while, and then we started resumed shooting again. But that was just one of the things wrestling's opened up doors for me.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have gotten into movies if it wasn't for that. And,
Yeah.
I still get casting calls from them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you know, I don't take a lot of things, but I get the offer from that long ago. But yeah, I was in Stay Tuned. That was my big breakthrough movie.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It was all because of wrestling. If it wasn't for wrestling, I never would have got it. And it was a pretty good movie too. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to meet a bunch of stars and got to know Captain Lou Albano. He he was on the he was the announcer for the wrestling part of it. Wrestling was only one segment of the whole movie. There was all kinds of segments, and Captain Lou during breaks he'd tell us all these WWF stories of the guys, and he was just a hoot. He was a real funny man. He kept everybody laughing all the way through the movie. He was a
Yeah.
good guy. Yeah, I got to know him quite well, and even afterwards, he was a nice fella, and he
Yeah.
had so much wrestling knowledge. It was very, very entertaining just listening to him. It's like sitting under the tree of knowledge.
How did you get the nickname Fuzzy and Gentleman? Where did that come from?
Well, the fuzzy came from the crowd, really, because when I first broke in, I had my hair permed, and it was very high, and I changed it when I turned heel, but I got the fuzzy nickname right pretty much from the early days, and it came from the crowd. It was nothing to do with the promotion.
Oh wow.
Booker or the promoter didn't come up with it. The crowd did, and I'd always do the gimmick thing where they'd chant fuzzy, and I put my hand over my ears like it was just horrible pain to hear this insult. And gentleman Jay came from gentleman Jay or gentleman Jonathan came from the guys that I was managing. Um, Ivan Gorky, Sir Joseph Cagle, Bundy, um, Doug McCall, uh, all those guys. They, I was such a dastardly heel that they started calling me Gentleman Jonathan and asking the crowd to call me that. And of course, they didn't. They'd boo and call me Fuzzy all the more. And that was the idea behind it, to get them to call me something I didn't like instead of something I wanted to be called. That's how it came from. So I even wrestled under that. And the crowd would boo because they, what an insult. He's no gentleman. He's anything but a gentleman, you know. So
Yeah.
that's where that came from.
Cool.
And the fuzzy I've had right from the start till today. I even have Fuzzy's Forum. It's a wrestling website that I do myself. It's got, I've been doing it since 2005. It's a wrestling website that it's got just about every wrestler and his story from my point of view. From every guy, old and new, deaths, and guys that have been crown champions, heels, baby faces. I've got so many people in it. I don't know if how I still have enough room for it. It just keeps getting longer and longer and longer. But you can, if you ever want to look it up, it's called Fuzzy's Forum, and you'll see miles and miles of every wrestling star and some that aren't so big stars in there. You know,
Yeah, definitely.
kind of a hobby. I started doing it. Got my own
Yeah.
story in there too, but I've got everybody else's. Just a hobby.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
I'll definitely have to look at that.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to find.
So if you are upset during or before a match, what do you do to help yourself calm down?
Um, uh, Mostly just try and get in my head and try and push the. I don't really have any routine. I do exercises, loosening exercises to get physically ready. Try not to drown on negativities if I can. But in wrestling, there's always something that's going to go wrong or be a problem or you have to overcome. So I just kind of go with the flow. I don't try not to let things get to me.
Yep.
But mostly exercise. But that's a twofold thing. That's to loosen me up so I don't tear, pull, or muscles and that. You know, everybody does. Everybody should do that. I've seen guys go out there cold, come back injured. So you know, you got to look after yourself, or you're not going to be working. You know.
For sure. If you could wrestle anywhere in the world that you didn't get to wrestle, like a dream, where would that be?
I never got to Japan. I'd like to go to Japan. I like the culture.
Yeah.
I'm interested in lots of cultures, but Japan has quite the draw for me. Uh, yeah, I'd say Japan. A free trip to Japan would be just what the doctor ordered for me. I'll tell you.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I love it. I love the people. You know. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'd say Japan. There's lots of other places too, because travel broadens the mind. I mean, the more you travel, the more in tune you are with people. It's just amazing. But that would probably be my number one place. But there's 100 more that I'd like to go to that I haven't been to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What has been the best fan art you have received in your wrestling career?
One time I had uh, a woman manager, and I had this group in Ontario. They used to send me all kinds of things. The key to the city, and these drawings. They sent me this drawing of this Felicia. That was her name.
Mm.
She was supposedly more like a valet than a manager.
Yeah.
And they made this drawing, and it was so good. I got it here. There's a picture of it on Fuzzy's forum too, but it's a picture of Felicia and and me with my tattoos, and my tattoo on my arm says, "My mommy doesn't love me," and they drew that in so cool. It was really funny, and her standing beside me, drawn just like a pig. Her facial features were like a pig, and I kept it all these years. I still got it in one of my art books. Yeah, it was so
Yeah.
good. I had to keep it. But I've been sent so many things like that, like the key to the city, and they send me these T-shirts of their city, and they used to tell me how much they hate me, but they send me all these things. I forget the name of the city. It's a smaller city just outside of Ontario, and they were for years they'd send me stuff. They called themselves the Anti Jonathan Sayers Fan Club.
Mm.
And, they proposed how much they hated me, but yet they sent me all kinds of gifts and things like that. I never understood them, but I even wore the T-shirts on TV, you know, so they'd get a chuckle out of it. But
Oh, wow.
uh,
Yeah.
they were my anti-fan club.
What is a top unforgettable moment in your wrestling career that you would like never forget?
Uh, Probably the time Ole Olson got stabbed. That I know I already touched on that, but that scared the heck out of me. I thought, geez, this is going to end really badly. Yeah,
Mm.
that's something I'll never forget. It's not a very nice story, but the main thing was he wasn't seriously injured. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Were you the type of wrestler that ate like certain meals before their matches and whatnot?
I usually try not to eat before that soon. Anyways,
Yeah.
because uh, so many guys they gotta get out of the ring and throw up under the ring and then get back in and finish their match. That happened with Ric Flair. I forget who he was wrestling. The guy says, "I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna be sick." Flair said, "Well, go get sick and come back, and we'll do another 40 minutes." Yeah, but yeah, I didn't want to have too much on my stomach after. I'd eat after.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't want to be too slowed down, and you know that was just my way of dealing, I guess, with things. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who was your favorite um, theme song that you liked the most during your time?
Uh,
Each song?
one,
I'm thinking of Cop
they,
Killer.
uh,
You love that.
well, this isn't very good, but I like "Cop Killer" by
Yeah.
Ice-T.
You play it full blast.
Yeah, yeah. I have to go with that.
Yeah.
I thought that would make a good tune to have the musical part of it.
And you like Eminem?
I like Eminem stuff.
Yeah.
That
Dirty
make,
rap.
yeah. I'm still a big rap fan, even though I'm getting old. I love rap.
Yeah, that's cool. If you could go back and revisit any year of your wrestling career, what year would that be?
Probably 1989. That was when I was inducted, and that was when that year was the run up to when I caught the tag titles. Me and Tim Flowers got the tag titles, and shortly after that, in that year, still, I was inducted into the Canadian Hall of Fame. So yeah, I'd have to go with that year.
Yeah. If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
Beware of my dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me. Just beware of my dog.
Yeah. If you could make an entrance with any animal, what animal would that be?
I'm probably a Shar-Pei dog.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Shar-Peis. I've had 8 of them
Oh, wow.
over the years. Usually 2 at a time.
Same breeder.
Yeah, same breeder.
Oh,
We
wow.
bring them out from Ontario. We used to bring them into Vancouver from Ontario. I had
Yeah.
my son-in-law brought him out on the plane. The last couple, 2 dogs back, but I've been a Shar-Pei freak. Even showed them. We had one that was so close to winning its top dog in Canada,
Oh, wow.
but fell one point short.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a big dog nut too.
What is your favorite wrestling quote?
Uh, the one I used to use all the time I liked. I don't impress. I know I can't even think of it. I don't impress easy. That's one of the quotes I use when somebody would say something. I'd say, that doesn't impress me because I don't impress easy. I used to
Yeah.
use that in promos a lot.
Yeah. If you could manage any wrestler in today's wrestling, who would you want to manage?
Hmm. I was really big on Roman Reigns,
Mm, yeah.
but yeah, okay, I'll stick with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any big thing on how you came up with your wrestling name, Jonathan Sayers?
No, no, it's my real name.
Okay.
Not many wrestlers use their real name. I
Yeah, not
used
really.
I used a lot of Gentleman Jay or Gentleman Jonathan or Fuzzy Sayers, but basically it was my real name that I based it off of.
Yeah.
Not many do that these days.
Yeah, definitely not. Is there any background or inspiration off of your wrestling persona in a whole, like what you did in your wrestling?
I let me see. I I kind of just went with what other heels did and kind of took a little from this heel and a little from that heel and kind of mixed them all together and if something worked, I'd keep it. If it didn't work, I'd drop it, and eventually molded the type of heel I wanted to be.
Yeah. If you could dump any type of food and beverage on your opponent, what food and beverage would that be?
Oh, okay. Probably a pizza all mushed up, drenched in uh, soda and
Yeah.
just flat. Yeah, that's the best thing I can think of.
Yeah. Who would you put in your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
Oh, probably Kaniski, um, Don Morocco, uh, Kaniski, Don Morocco, uh, Bret Hart, uh, Ric Flair, um, and I'd put Hogan in there for what he's done bringing wrestling back to. I'm not a big Hogan fan, but he's done a lot too. Yeah, I'd put him in there too.
Yeah, definitely. Who do you consider as a brother and sister in wrestling?
Uh, Tim Flowers and Delta Dawn. Uh, she's always been a good friend of mine, and same with Tim. And we worked in the same promotion. We've we've worked together a lot, and I have great respect for Delta Dawn as a women's wrestler. She did big business in Japan. She won 3 titles here in Canada. I just love the girl, woman, and Tim, great veteran, great hand. Plus, he was my tag partner.
Yeah.
Even though, Tim, I said you hurt my back carrying you, I didn't really mean it. Yeah, those are the two.
Yeah. If you could, right now in your career, have one last match, a retirement match, who would you want it to be against?
I know he's old, but so am I. But I'd have to say Slick Ric Flair.
Ric Flair?
Yeah, got a
You
lot
know,
of respect for him.
he's actually looking for an opponent again, actually.
Oh, I'll have to give him a call.
Yeah. You know, he just had his retirement
Yeah,
match, but now he's looking for another retirement match, apparently.
well, I got him on speed dial here. Maybe after I get finished here, I'll give him a call.
Yeah. If you could wrestle or have a segment with any actor, who would that be?
Uh, uh, hmm. Uh, oh, I know I got mine in mind. The I can't think of his name, but he was the guy that played Andy Kaufman. 'Cause he's so agile. I bet he'd be good to slam. Can't think of his name. Uh, Jerry Lawler was in the movie with Andy Kaufman too, and he played Kaufman, comedian. Oh well, that's who I'd pick.
Jim Carrey?
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I thought he did well in that match
Yeah.
in that movie.
I would love to see Jim Carrey in a wrestling ring.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, he's so agile. He might be very versatile in that. Take a nice body slam.
Yeah. When you were growing up, were you more of a shy, quiet kid or outgoing, loud, and excited?
Probably more outgoing and excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what is one thing you would tell your fans?
Oh, follow your dreams, and no matter what they are, you know, don't don't back down. Give it your all. And I'd also like to tell them thank you for all the support. Every one of you that paid a penny or a dime to see me wrestle. I love you all, and bless your hearts. It's been a great, great run. And if it wasn't for you, none of it would have been possible.
Yeah. So, I got one final question for you. Do you have any advice for me to become a wrestler?
These days, your best bet is to go to a wrestling school. I'd still suggest getting an amateur background. Judo helped me a lot. Any kind of martial art can help, but not necessary, I guess. But you always want to be able to look after yourself because there's always surprises in this business. Uh, People want to take liberties. You can't let that happen because once you let it happen once, it'll happen again. But once you get respect, you got it forever. Um, yeah, and look after yourself. Don't let promoters talk you into doing crazy things. I think I would made that mistake. Don't you? That would be my advice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking your time out to do this interview. And it was great.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah.
And can I say one more thing?
Definitely.
And as usual, Blake, you did a great job interviewing me.
Thank
Just
you.
Kiniski used to say. Only he said Ron Morier. But anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course. And thank you again for taking your time out.
Okay. Thank you.